Hi everyone, welcome to your weekly Tech Update, the show that explores the newest, coolest, and sometimes downright craziest side of tech available on the interwebs. I'm your mobile game hater, Ray McNeal. Coming up in the program today, WSU physicists turn a crystal into an electrical circuit. NASA has a way for you to cut your flight time in half. And in this week's What the, Ohio police arrest a man who went all Ninja Warrior at a bar. All that and much more coming up on your weekly Tech Update next. Hi everyone, finding the time to stop, plug in, and recharge could become history, with scientists developing a new electrode design that could recharge batteries in seconds instead of hours. They say it could solve not only the pain of recharging phones, but also solve one of the primary issues holding back electric vehicles. Previous research has looked at the use of supercapacitors as an energy storage device for portable electronics. Supercapacitors release energy in large bursts and have incredible potential when it comes to powering our technology. Now, a team from Drexel University has combined the properties of a supercapacitor with that of traditional batteries, with large storage capabilities by using a material called benzene. This paper refutes the widely accepted dogma that chemical charge storage used in batteries is always much slower than physical storage used in electrical double-layer capacitors, also known as supercapacitors. Benzene is a flat nanomaterial that looks kind of like a sandwich, consisting of an oxide bread with a conductive carbon metal filling, we'll call it. When they are made, the benzene layers stack on top of each other like a can of Pringles. The scientists then change the structure of the benzene by combining it with what's known as hydrogel. It turns the Pringle stack into a structure more like Swiss cheese, allowing the ions to flow freely. It's worth pointing out that while the work looks promising, it's unclear exactly how the battery would be upscaled for use in a vehicle. But there's no doubt that should this research end up in cars and phones, it'll completely change the way batteries are used in our lives. Citizen scientists, people who are not necessarily trained scientists, but are enthusiastic and eager to take part in scientific research, have discovered a brown dwarf very close to our own sun. They examined data taken by an orbiting observatory and found the little beastie right at the edge of the telescope's detection capabilities. Okay, first, simply put, a brown dwarf is an object that is between the mass of a planet and a star. That's really too simply put. We're talking about a rich and diverse class of objects, every bit as varied and interesting as planets and stars themselves. For that reason, it's really unfair to call them failed stars. As some do, they're really their own thing and fascinating in their own right. You can find out a lot about them by watching the Brown Dwarf episode of Crash Course Astronomy. You can find that on YouTube. Being warmish, brown dwarfs tend to emit most of their light in the infrared part of the spectrum. Outside the color range, our eyes can actually see. But we can build detectors that are sensitive to infrared, attach them to telescopes, launch them into space, and sweep the sky to see what's out there. Astronomers have done this many, many times, including with the wonderful Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, otherwise known as WISE, for several years, starting back in 2010. It looked in 4 different wavelengths or colors of IR light, creating a vast catalog of objects in the night sky. Over 750 million of them, in fact. A lot of those objects were brown dwarfs. They were found in 2 different ways, either by color or by their motion. Brown dwarfs are extremely faint, so we only see ones that are relatively nearby the sun. Because they're close, their motion in space as they orbit the galaxy means we can see them move over time. It's just like nearby trees seem to whiz past when you're in a car, when more distant objects appear to move more slowly. That's why the folks over at Zooniverse decided to take this on. This is a group of astronomers and researchers who figured out that non-scientists can not only participate in scientific research, but also give a meaningful contribution to it as well. They collect data in the public domain, quite a bit of astronomical data, and present them in such a way that people can analyze them through simple tasks. For example, Galaxy Zoo asks people to identify spiral galaxies and determine whether the arms open clockwise or counterclockwise. It's simple, fun, and oddly addictive. Your task: look for the things that change. It's not easy, but if enough people look at enough images, things turn up. And something did. The researchers estimate that more than 100 previously undiscovered brown dwarfs should be hiding in the WISE data, waiting to be found. A half dozen or so of them may be white dwarfs. Some of them no warmer than room temperature. This idea is thrilling. The whole universe is out there, and you can be a part of unveiling it. If you would like to get in on the action yourself, simply visit zooniverse.org. Pokemon back in the news this week. Thousands of fans, near and far, traveled to Chicago recently for the much-anticipated Pokemon Go Fest. But serious problems forced organizers to apologize and even offer refunds after just 4 hours at the festival. Plans called for as many as 20,000 Pokemon Go players to converge in Grant Park with the ultimate goal of unlocking the sought-after legendary monster for the first time in the augmented reality cell phone game. But throughout the day, festival attendees repeatedly complained about issues that prevented them from catching Pokemon or even logging into the mobile game in the first place. Frustrations that resulted in the booing of John Hanke, CEO of the game's developer, Niantic. Those problems were magnified by hours-long lines to get into the park. At about 1:30 p.m., Niantic Chief Marketing Officer Mike Quigley announced that organizers would be refunding the original $20 ticket cost, as well as offering $100 of in-game credits. Obviously, today has not gone as planned, Quigley told members of the media shortly after the announcement. It has been a really unfortunate situation. The refunds would be issued via email to every player who registered a wristband for the event, he said. When asked by Blue Sky how many people that would be, Quigley said, "We don't know right now." Some players paid much more than that $20 price to attend the event, as tickets were being resold for hundreds of dollars online. Many players traveled from across the country and even the world to attend this event. Although he apologized for the technical problems during the Pokemon Go Fest on Niantic's behalf, Quigley wasn't ready to call the event a complete failure. Despite the gameplay issues that many attendees struggled with, others were still able to enjoy the festival and catch lots and lots of Pokemon, he said. The event featured lounge areas for each of Pokemon Go's 3 in-game teams. It also had photo booths where attendees could take pictures with Pokemons, along with concessions and merchandise stands. The technical difficulties were worse at the event than they were day one with the actual game. As the festa approached the evening, Quigley took the stage again with another announcement. All players who scanned a QR code when they entered the park, verifying their presence inside Pokemon Go Fest, would automatically receive the legendary Pokemon Lugia. That's a much different process than the event originally promised, with a slew of tasks and challenges for players to face throughout the day, and a possible payout at the end. But Brian Dodge, who works with Spartan Elite Advertising, an agency that represents top video game influencers, said he'd take it. After a long day, for everyone to come and get a Lugia for sure is a huge win. Dodge said, "If you had this horrible, terrible day and at the end of it didn't get to Lugia, that would be devastating."